Good morning, Reptilians. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. I'm Elle and this is Elle's Reptiles. This week, as you're watching this, I am out of town. I am out of the country. So I recorded this a week ago as you're watching this, but as I'm recording it, it is now. It's always really weird to explain this because it's weird that this is in the future. Anyway, I am recording this and I am getting ready to travel, and it made me think about how a lot of the things that I do to get ready to travel I actually just do on a regular basis. It's kind of become just like a normal part of my routine, and it is what I like to call lazy reptile keeping. Really, it's just a way that I found that makes my normal day-to-day routine easier, and I thought that I would share those things with you now. Just a disclaimer, always put all your effort into taking care of your pets. We don't want to cut corners in taking care of our pets. We want to give them all that we can. We are everything in taking care of those animals, and we want to give them everything that we can. This is just meant to be a how to make taking care of our animals more efficient, just tips to be more efficient, if that makes sense. Before we get started, this video is sponsored by our geckos, so make sure to stay until the end of the video to find out all about this awesome company. Let's get started. So the first one on this list is making like Repashy gecko diet ahead of time and putting them in squeeze bottles and storing that in the fridge. You can store this in the fridge for a few days to, I'd say 3 or 4 days ahead of time. I like to get little travel bottles, and you just wash them out, make sure they stay clean, and you can use them forever. But you just put some powder, Gecko Food, Repashy, or Pangea, or Zoomed, whatever brand you use, in that bottle, and put the water in there, shake it up really good, and you can just squeeze it into all of your geckos' dishes and stick it in the fridge, and you can use it again the next day. Or if you have adult geckos, you're feeding them every other day, you can use that for a few days, so that way you can make one batch, not have to mix in tiny little bowls with little chopsticks every single day. It just kind of makes the whole process a little easier, and if you are feeding more than one gecko, it makes the process a lot more easier, especially if you are like a breeder and you're feeding a lot of geckos. This is gonna make that process so much easier. If you are feeding a lot of geckos, those tiny little bottles probably aren't gonna be enough for you. You might want to get like the big like ketchup condiment bottles sort of things. But yeah, this just makes the whole thing go so much easier. Just to yeah, the next one is something that I have done for a very long time, and I still do to this day, and that is using giant pressurized spray bottles. So I use a giant pressurized spray bottle like this one. This is 2 gallons, and other than this just making the whole process go faster because it's just like a sort of motion, I use this because it holds a lot of water. So unlike, okay, this actually has cleaning material in it, but unlike using something small like this where you're constantly having to fill it up and you're just like using a big bottle like the other one, you just, number one, you're just holding the nozzle down and doing a continuous spray, and number two, you do not have to fill it up very often at all, especially if you're only spraying down 1 or 2 tanks. You are only refilling that giant container, the giant water holder container, I guess that was the right word. You're only refilling that part maybe once a week, then you're done. And you don't have to constantly run back and forth to the sink to fill up the thing, and you're not killing your hands constantly pumping the spray part. Also, I find it a lot easier to spray down smaller water bottles with the pressurized sprayer because you can control how fast the water is coming out. Like, you can just hold the nozzle down. You can adjust how fast, like on the tip, you can twist it to adjust how fast or slow the water is coming out. So you can actually use that to fill up tiny little water dishes like tarantula water dishes, or like small amphibian water dishes if you want to do that too. I just find the entire process of filling water dishes a lot easier with that as well. It's just much more versatile than the tiny little sprayer. It just makes life so much easier to use that thing. And to stay in that same sort of category, you can also, if you want to make life even easier for yourself and even lazier, you can use misters, automatic misters. So you just can not cart around a giant pressurized spray bottle, and you can put your more humid animals on automatic misters. These are obviously going to be a lot more expensive, but then you don't have to worry about misting your animals at all. You just make sure that the tanks in those misters are filled up. These are especially good for things like chameleons. They can be used for things like crested geckos, things like day geckos, anything that likes humidity, especially things like frogs, amphibians, anything that likes humidity, and especially anything that is going to get its drinking water from leaves, they're great for. You can usually adjust how often they're spraying, how long the spray lasts. A lot of the fancier ones, or the more expensive ones, you can actually adjust like how much humidity is like in there, like how much. Can you? Did I just make that up? I need to look that up. Okay, I might have made that last part up, but you can adjust how often they spray and how long they spray, and then you can kind of play around with that, and so that you can get that humidity where you need it to be. So I don't remember exactly how often I personally would use my mister for, but you can just go online and Google recommended crested gecko automatic misting, whatever, and you'll find forums and forums of people that say, I have mine misting once per 2 hours at, I don't know, 30-second intervals. I don't know. I just made that up. Don't use that. But you'll find people suggesting various things. Just make sure that you are looking at exact species. So like if you are using it for a chameleon, make sure you're looking at that exact species of chameleon, because there are so many different species of chameleons, and you don't want to just generally look up what does my chameleon need. Look up exactly what kind of chameleon you are looking for, just to put in that same category. Automatic drippers can also be useful for this, for animals that are getting their drinking water that way. Usually kind of go hand in hand with the automatic misters, and they will kind of just drip from the ceiling as the spray happens. So spray, drip. Yeah, moving along. My next lazy reptile keeping tip is, it's gonna sound kind of counterintuitive, but I stopped refrigerating my mealworms. I did this a very long time ago. So when you go to the store and you buy a container of mealworms, usually you will buy them in the refrigerator of a pet store, and there are like temperatures on it to stick in the refrigerator, because when mealworms are kept in the refrigerator, they go into like a hibernation state and then they don't die. And so you like take them out, you let them warm up, they start wiggling, you can feed them off to the animals. I stopped doing that because mealworms are incredibly easy to breed. I don't feed my animals mealworms super often. So what I started doing is putting them into a tank. I think I originally just bought, because I haven't bought mealworms in such a long time, a very long time. I think I went to joshsfrogs.com and I bought, I think it was like 1,000, maybe 1,200 mealworms, which sounds like a lot. It was not very expensive. I want to say at that time it was maybe less than $20. I got like a little 5-gallon aquarium. I put oatmeal, like just went to the store, bought, I think I went to the Dollar Tree and bought a few bags of oatmeal, just normal dried oatmeal, dumped it in there, dumped the mealworms in, and you just like put scraps, like vegetable scraps. You're making dinner or you're feeding your bearded dragon vegetables, and you put the stems of the collard greens in it, like whatever you're doing, put the scraps in there for the mealworms, and they'll just breed. They'll turn into beetles. You'll see a bunch of beetles in there. They'll breed and they'll have like their own little ecosystem in there, and you just won't have to buy mealworms. That is how I keep mealworms, is I just give them vegetable scraps, and I have not bought mealworms in a very long time. And then they will grow up and they'll get older, and because I don't feed my animals mealworms super often, they just keep reproducing, and I take mealworms out. I give them as I please, as the animals eat them, and they just keep reproducing, and I don't have to buy mealworms very often. I guess it can go either way. I mean, if they don't have time to breed, to build up that colony, it might be better just to throw them in the refrigerator and order them in bulk. I don't know, I guess it just depends on your specific situation. But for me personally, the easiest way to do that is to just let them breed and grab them out, throw them to the animals, and not worry about it. Just throw vegetable scraps in there. And the very last one that I have is one that I talk about in almost every video, because they are my favorite thing that I have ever done for the reptiles, and that is timers. Timers are my favorite thing ever. All my lights are on timer switches. I do not turn all these lights on and off every day because that would be awful. They are on automatic timer switches. You also can do smart timer switches if you are into that sort of thing. That way you can just do it from your phone, or you can set up the timers in your phone. Most of mine are on the Zoomed brand, the green ones. I also have a few that are from Amazon, but they're all on automatic timers. All my heating sources are on thermostats, so they kick on and off. They are self-regulated, and the lights are on timers. So they shut on and off every day at a certain time. They, I think, all shut because daylight savings. They kind of all are currently off a little bit, but I think they all turn on at around 8 a.m. and off at around 8 p.m. All I do is when I come to bed, like when I head to my bedroom at around 11 p.m., I just make sure everything's off. When I get up in the morning, or I guess I get up at like 6 in the morning, but when I am like up and moving around in the mornings, I make sure that everything is on when it's supposed to be on, just to make sure no timers have like broken. But other than that, I don't do anything. I've had to replace maybe 2 timer switches ever, but that's it. It is fantastic. It is it is the most convenient thing that I have ever purchased. They are the most convenient things that I've ever purchased for this room, and I cannot speak highly enough about them. It doesn't matter it probably does matter what brand you get. Like, some are going to be easier to set up than others, but once you get them set up, they are so incredibly convenient. If you have one animal, obviously turning it on and off might not be terrible. I do suggest though, if you have just one animal, and let's say you have one animal and you have like a heat light and a UVB light, you can actually get only one of my light sets is not on a timer switch. At this point in the video, for some reason, I decided to go on a 10-minute long tangent about how much cheaper and easier it is to get an outlet with a clicky button is if you only have 1 or 2 animals. So really quickly, if you just have 1 or 2 animals, it might be cheaper and more convenient to get an outlet with a clicky button. You just click, you can kind of see here, and it will turn all the lights off. Done. But yeah, just makes life so much easier. And if you are traveling, if you are away, that was the original reason that I bought my first timer switch, is because I was traveling, I was away. It makes life so much easier to not have to worry about like the person coming to watch your animals, getting to your house at a certain time to turn off lights or to turn on lights. I don't have to worry about turning lights on and off. It makes life so easy and so convenient. But that is it. That's all I have for this week's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I feel like I wasn't talking for very long, but it has been almost 30 minutes. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your week. If you have other lazy reptile tips, please leave them in the comments below, because I am always looking to do less. Any time saved that I could be doing other things, like spending time with the animal instead of doing more work, is always helpful. As I said at the beginning of this video is sponsored by I Heart Geckos. I Heart Geckos is an awesome company that makes conversion kits for tanks. These conversion kits make turning tanks into front opening kits super fast and easy and convenient. They're also very affordable. Anyone can do this. You're just putting silicone into the front rim of that tank, putting the conversion kit in, letting it all dry and air out, and that's it. You are good to go with a front opening, well ventilated tank for your critter. If you happen to order one of these from iHeartGeckos.com, make sure to leave Elle Reptiles in the How Did You Hear About Us box. That way they know that you guys are coming from here. Thank you to iHeartGeckos for continuing to sponsor these videos. If you haven't already, please feel free to follow me on the socials and like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications every single time I put out a new video, which is some Sundays, and sometimes, rarely, I put out shorts on Wednesdays. This week's subscriber shout out is here. Thank you so much for subscribing and commenting and just being supportive. You are the bee's knees. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye. Test. Okay, cool. Oh wait, did I turn that down? Hopefully I didn't push any buttons. Test. Okay. That is not the right note. The battery. Test. I think it's echo in here. Echo. Good morning, Reptilians. Welcome back to the channel. I'm recording. Okay. Sorry if you can hear my neighbor's car. Looks like you can. At least he waited till the end of the video. So kind of him. Alright, thank you so much for... I don't even know what I was saying. Thank you.